and gentlemen, what the world has been waiting for, what the world needs now, the one, the only, amazing, original, Johnny Blaze. Often imitated, but never duplicated. There's Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the original Johnny Blaze Show. It's always great to be here as I blaze right in with my karate kick. Let's have a blazing hot fun time. My ex-girlfriend kept complaining that I never listened to her or something like that. I don't remember exactly what. A wise man said, love is blind and marriage is the eye-opener. It has been said that marriages are made in heaven, but then so are tornadoes, thunder, lightning, and hurricanes. It's also been said that love is a single soul inhabiting two bodies, but marriage is more like your wife taking over your body and every room of the house. A married man once told me that the secret to a long-lasting marriage is learning how to compromise. I always admit that I'm wrong, and my wife always agrees with me. I'll never forget the last conversation I had with my ex. Before she left me, she told me, you see me as nothing but a sex object. I told her, you see me as nothing but a money object. She said, I object, Your Honor. This idiot doesn't have any money. Oh, such sweet memories. Sooner or later, everyone gets their heart broken by somebody else. This first happened to me in high school. My girlfriend ditched me at the prom and ran off with my best friend. I never saw them again. After all these years, I can honestly say, I sure do miss that guy. Why did the Mormon cross the road? To get to the other brides, we have a blazing hot fun show with a special guest. He is a multi-talented award-winning actor and comedian. Please give a big warm welcome and say hello to the one and only Ed the Machine Regine. Hello, Ed.
Hey, Johnny, how are you?
Hey, Ed, all right. Good to see you, Ed.
Want me to go horizontal?
You're looking happy. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. You see me? I see you.
Oh, there you go.
You're looking sharp. That's a nice looking shirt you have on. That's a nice looking shirt.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I stole it from some guy in the Caribbean.
Oh, you did? You got quite a find there.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That's excellent, Ed. Yeah, hey, welcome to the Amazing Original Johnny Blaze Show, Ed. It's a pleasure.
Give me 5 seconds.
Okay.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Great.
How's the lighting, all right?
It's good. How about you over there? Okay.
Is it good for
you?
You
Can see me well? Okay, great.
Okay,
I can
great.
see you. You can see me? All right, great. You know, Ed, everybody has a great story. They have a most great and unique, unusual story in their life. Please give me a rundown. Let me know about your great, unique, and unusual story. How did you get started in entertainment, and where are you from originally?
Well, it was a very unusual story how I got started. So I'm originally from Providence, Rhode Island, which is the smallest state in the Union.
Okay.
And I had no idea about being a comedian. I was working in the car business at the time, buying and selling cars. However, as a child, I always wanted to be a comedian, but I got married young and had a child, and that whole dream, just blew away in the wind. And I had to support my family. So I started working various jobs, and then I ended up in the car business. And after being in the business for about 12 years, I was working for a guy, and he said, hey, my brother's having a bachelor party. He says, I'd like you to come. You always have a lot of fun with the guys. You joke around a lot. I said, I don't really go to bachelor parties. I don't think those are not my thing. He said, no. There's a local comedy club in downtown Providence, he said, and they have 2 comedians that we've hired from that club, and they're going to come and perform. And it'd be great if you could be there to mix it up with them, have some fun. I didn't really want to go, but something told me to go, so I ended up going. The first guy gets up there, and he's a comedian, kind of juggler. He's doing comedy while he's juggling, telling jokes. And he does about 30 minutes, and he's gone. The next guy comes up, and he's sort of a poor man's Don Rickles. He started picking on the audience. What's your name? You're a car dealer. How do you sell cars? What kind of car? All of that stuff. So he starts up with me, and we go back and forth a little bit. And after the show was over, he went over to the bar for a soft drink, and I followed him over, and I said something that changed my life, completely changed my life. I said to him, and I didn't think anything of it, it just came out. I said, I always wanted to be a comedian, just off the top of my head, like not meaning anything. I didn't try to say to him, I want to be a comedian, please help. I just said, I always wanted to be a comedian, sort of like off the cuff. And he said, and I thought he was going to say, oh, that's great. You should try it sometime, or you're probably a funny guy. And, but he did say, instead, he said, look, I have a comedy club in Providence. He says, I'm one of the bookers. He said, and if you really want to do it, he said, I've got a spot a week from Thursday. If you want to come down, I'll give you 5 minutes. I said, yeah, okay. And I really didn't have any material. I didn't know how to write material. This was 1985. So I did a couple of jokes about my nose. I started making fun of myself. I did this thing that I learned as a kid watching Superman, the old TV show, where the opening, I managed to do it backwards. So I did that. I did a couple of nose jokes, and that was done. I probably lasted maybe a minute and a half. And I came off stage, and I went, well, and he said, how do you feel? I said, whoa. I said, that was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. He said, well, he said, you look pretty comfortable up there. I said, oh, I don't know. I wasn't all that comfortable. I was pretty nervous. He said, you want to come back next week? I said, yeah, I'll give it another shot. And that was it. That started my career. 4 months later, at that club, I got my first paid gig. And a year and a half later, just short of 2 years, I left the car business completely. And I began making a living as a stand-up comedian. And that's how it all started.
What was the name of this place, this comedy where you got your start?
It was called Periwinkles. Periwinkles. It was in the arcade in downtown. There was like an arcade building, and it was a small sandwich lunch kind of place. And what they would do on the weekends when they had shows, they would put up artificial walls out in the hallways to make it big enough so it could fit probably 100, 110 people max. On a Saturday night, and it would get crowded because comedy was very popular at that point. So people were just into stand-up comedy, through the 80s, how popular it was, and so it would fill up on the weekends. And I would go every Thursday, and then finally it started happening. I went to Boston a few months later after I got my first paid gig, and I auditioned for an agent in Boston. He liked me. He started booking me. And then I started to headline all over New England. And then I moved to New York. Oh. And then in 2000, I moved to Los Angeles. And in 97, I started cruise ships. And I did those for 22 years, traveling all over the world on luxury cruise liners, which was a blast. But, enough is enough. 22 years was plenty. And I was losing out on my acting career. So I wanted to focus more on my acting, which I couldn't do because I'd be away a couple of weeks out of the month. So, agents didn't want to touch me because they felt as though I wouldn't be here. If there was an audition or a callback, I wouldn't even be here to do it. So it was tough getting an agent. It was tough booking stuff, but I managed to book stuff, even though I was doing ships. I managed to do guest spots. I was a sketch comic, a regular on Jay Leno, The Tonight Show. I was a regular sketch comic. I did a movie with Tom Hanks in 2008. I did several more movies. I did some commercials. So even though I was traveling, I was booking stuff, but I felt like I was being held back. It was just frustrating that I would get a call and I wouldn't be able to do it. So finally, I talked it over with my wife, who she also works to help. We help each other. We work as a team, and we put our heads together, put figures down on paper, and said, we can make it if you just want to focus on your comedy and your acting, we can do it. And in October of 2019, I totally left the cruise industry, and it's been really good since then. I've been booking a lot of stuff, and look at me now. I'm on the Johnny Blaze. I mean,
that's amazing.
I've reached.
That's amazing, Ed. Really, I know. I mentioned the Royal Caribbean cruise, and
That's right.
I thought right off the bat, I said, you're not like just any comic. I mean, I bought you a drink. My friend says, why don't you, you can afford a drink easily, but, I bought you a drink, I introduced myself, and you were friendly, and you were very funny. You had such a unique and special style about you. It's something about you with so much confidence.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. Now, you were on there for 22 years, so you must have gone on many, not just the Royal Caribbean, you must have gone on many other cruise lines.
I did Celebrity, I did Holland America, I did Norwegian, I did Crystal, I did Princess, I did a whole bunch, and I traveled all over the place, Far East. I went to the Arctic Circle. I mean, I've gone everywhere. So it was quite an experience to do. So I don't regret. I regret it, but I don't regret it because I wouldn't have had those opportunities.
So basically, it sounds like it was a great experience traveling all over and getting to do your hone your craft and have fun at the same time.
Right. And the good part about it was, Johnny, as you know, if you've been on a cruise, that they have good large showrooms with state-of-the-art equipment. So it's really, you're putting on a great show and a great venue. So that's all part of it. And that was, the magic of it all. But again, after so many times, and you do it so long and you do it for so many times, and you go back to the same place, the Caribbean, back to the Caribbean, in the summer back to Alaska, back to Alaska, and you get to see these places over and over and over, it comes to a point where you want to just stay on the ship for the day because everybody gets off and you've kind of got the ship to yourself. So it's kind of, I kind of started doing that the last several years. I just stayed on the ship, stayed by the pool, enjoyed all the amenities, and pretty much had the ship to myself. So I pretty much seen it all, and that was it. It was just a chapter or several chapters in my life. And, I'm always trying to reinvent myself. I'm always trying to come up with new stuff, new ideas. You have to in this business,
Oh, yeah. That's important. Keep yourself relevant. Never get stale. Always try to come up with new things all the time. Anyway, so you in your acting now, I know you had 33 credits. Some of the ones I remember that you were on that stand out were Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There was Next Stop Wonderland, and there was also Charlie Wilson's War. Those are just three. You had so many of them.
That's at least
tell
three.
Me about, yeah.
If you go to IMDb, I think I have 32 or 33 credits up there now.
Right, it said 33 credits. That's right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, films I've done. The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a very interesting story. Perhaps you'd want to hear it. Your fans, I'm sure, would want to hear it. So I hadn't left the ships yet. It was 2017 or somewhere in that area, late 2017. It had to be actually. It might have been the summer of 2018 because I was in Alaska, and I'm sitting in the airport in Juneau, Alaska, and my phone rings, and it's a casting agent, and she says, "Ed, are you available August 30th, 31st? No, I'm sorry, June 29th, June 30th, July 1st, and 2nd." So I immediately took out my calendar. I said, "I cannot do July 1st and 2nd, but I can do June 29th and 30th. She said, "Gee, I'm so sorry, but I need you for all 4 days." And I didn't know what this was about. She said she called it, she said, there's a project called Magnum Opus, which was just the code word for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I said, oh, okay. And I didn't know what I thought it was Magnum Opus. I didn't know what it was. So I'm sitting in the airport waiting for my flight. And about 20 minutes later, she calls back and she says, "What are you doing June 27th? I said, "Nothing. I'm good." She said, "Okay, I want you to, I'm going to book you," she said, "for a role in a film, this Magnum Opus, and you're going to play a maitre d'." I said, "Okay." She said, "I'll send you all the information." I said, "Well, I'm in Alaska now. I'll be home." So she said, "Okay, well, just, let me know when you get home, or I'll have it waiting for you, or I'll send it to you and you'll have it when you get home or when you get off the plane or whatever." So I don't know what this is. I don't know what it is. So she says, "You have to go for a fitting." So I went to Paramount for a fitting, and I'm trying on these suits, and someone had told me that it might be something with Leonardo DiCaprio and Quentin Tarantino and Al Pacino. It's some kind of movie. We're not sure. So I said, "Wow, that's pretty interesting." So they get me in for wardrobe, and they put a double-breasted suit on me because I think this took place during the Manson murders, actually. It's about, if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's about Brad Pitt as a stuntman and Leonardo DiCaprio as an actor, and Brad Pitt does all his stunts, and they be kind of friendly and all of that. So anyways, so they put the double-breasted jacket on me, and the fashion coordinator or the wardrobe lady comes in and she says, "Now, can't have them in a double-breasted because Al's going to be wearing a double-breasted. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a scene with Al Pacino. So we work out all the details, and I show up at the site. It was a Cicada restaurant downtown in L.A., and I go in there, and I'm in wardrobe, and they put the makeup on me, and I'm waiting to go. And Tarantino comes in, and then Al comes in, and they're talking, and the assistant director comes over and he says, okay, he says, this is your lines. Al's going to order a drink. You're going to tell him, yes, sir, I'll pick it up for you, no problem, and all of that. He said, yeah, just improv a little bit, whatever it is. I said, great. So we go in, and there it was. And there I was. I'm 3 feet away from Al Pacino, 5 feet away from Quentin Tarantino. And before we started shooting, Leonardo DiCaprio came down from upstairs. The restaurant had an upstairs. He came down, and he talked to Al. He said, Al, I just want to tell you this, whatever it is. I'm not sure what they said, but I talked to him. I said, Mr. DiCaprio, love your work. We shook hands, the whole deal. And then I did the scene. And we did about 12 or 13 takes because the character's name, Al's character, or one of the characters, was Mr. Schwartz, not Schwartz. There was no T in there, Schwartz. And I knew it was Schwartz, and that's the way I would say it. But Al kept saying Schwartz. And Tarantino kept saying, Al, it's not Schwartz, it's Schwartz, because it was based on real life, so they're using real names. He said, it's Schwartz, it's not Schwartz. And so we take again, and finally we get it. And that's a wrap on you guys. Okay, so Al shuffled on. I said, Mr. Pacino, one of the thrills of my life was coming to Hollywood, and one of my bucket list things was to do some kind of movie with you. I said, thank you. So he said, you were great. Thanks so much. We shook hands, and that was it. So now I'm leaving. They want to give me a ride back to my car. They want to give me a wagon back to my car. And I said, no, it's only a few blocks. I'm going to walk because I wanted to take it all in. It was very emotional, exciting. So I'm walking back to my car, and there's Quentin Tarantino sitting in a director's chair getting ready to shoot an outside shot with Al Pacino driving this Rolls Royce or whatever. So I went over to him and I said, Mr. Tarantino, thank you so much. What an honor to work with you. And he says, you said the name better than Al. You were great. I said, thanks. I said, can we take a selfie? And here's what he said. I'll never forget this. He said, how about a handshake? And that was it. I shook his hand, and we thanked each other, and off I went. And that was how I got the movie. It was really weird, but it was great.
Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting, Ed. Now, next stop, Wonderland. It was another one that you did. Tell me about that one.
This was done back in Boston with Hope Davis. It was a movie where I played a phone date where, it was like a dating service, and I sent my information in, and she decided to call me, and I'm this crazy plumber, and I'm like, hey, baby, what's up? Yeah, why don't we go bowling? Let's do something, let's go exciting. And she's disgusted with it. And that was it. And but the one movie that really surprised me was I did a movie called Code of Ethics, which was shot in Rhode Island. It starred Uma Thurman's brother and co-starring with Melissa Leo, who eventually later on did many, many different movies, but won an Oscar for the movie The Fighter. And her and I had this whole big scene together, and it was great. And it was nice to see her go on to win an Oscar. So that was pretty exciting as well. Yeah. So
there was also Charlie Wilson.
Yeah, go ahead.
Charlie Wilson's War. Charlie Wilson's War was another one.
Charlie Wilson's War was another one with Tom Hanks. I spent 5 days on the set with Hanks, which was great. He was very friendly, very warm, very kind, very gentle. He was like the guy you'd want living next door to you. Just a friendly guy. I had to drive this old limousine because it was based on a true story of Charlie Wilson, who backed the Afghanistan war against Russia, and he was a congressman at the time. So, and I'm the limousine driver, and I'm the one that testifies in court that they weren't using cocaine in my limousine, where he got accused of it. And I said, no, there was no cocaine, and there was none anywhere in my vehicle. As long as these folks in my car, they did nothing. They didn't. No, it never happened. So, so we did 5 days with Tom, and he was just wonderful. We took pictures together. We talked about comedy. He said, hey, you're working on cruise ships. He said, maybe I'll see you on a cruise someday, which I know probably would never happen. But I said, Tom, and he says, and I said Mr. Hanks at first. He said, yeah, just call me Tom. So I said, you know, Tom, the one movie that I really loved that you did. I mean, I loved everything you did. I mean, you're just amazing. I said, but the one that I love was Castaway. I just think that was a fantastic job, and you did an amazing job in that movie. He said, he said, that was a labor of love. He said, that was really incredible. He said, I had to gain 40 to 50 pounds in the beginning so I could play the role of the chubby guy. He said, then I had to lose. We had to shut down everything. We had found this island. We had shut down everything, shut down production. He said, and then I had to lose all the weight. He said, and then a little more than a year, we went back, and then we did all the island stuff. He said, so it really was.
You had to gain weight, then lose weight. Wow.
Yeah,
back and forth.
Which De Niro did for Raging Bull, if you remember. He gained all the weight, and then got fighting trim again. So yeah, and Tom said it was really a labor of love. He said it was tough to do. He said, but he said I loved the finished product. He said, I said, well, it was amazing. It was just a great movie, and I watch it. I probably watched it 10, 15 times at least.
Tom Hanks, he's quite an actor.
He's tremendous.
Forrest Gump, I like a lot of his things. Forrest Gump that he did. He did Pig. He did Sleepless in Seattle.
Yep. Road to Perdition. He did Road to Perdition.
Got Email.
He did them all. I mean, he did so many great movies.
Movies with Meg Ryan. Oh yeah, it was great. Movies.
Sleepless in Seattle, or You Got Mail, or one of those. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's a great guy too. You know. And here's the funny part. I mean, this is kind of amusing. You know, you figure Tom Hanks, big celebrity. I mean, A-list actor in Hollywood, multimillionaire. He drove to the set in his own little Prius, which was incredible.
Really?
He had no chauffeur, no limousine, no entourage. You know, we shot at an airport. We shot part of it at an airport, which was supposed to be in Vegas, but it was really Ontario Airport here. And he just drove into the airport in his little black Prius, and he pulled up and parked the car and came to the set, and that was it. He's a very not only talented, but very down to earth, nice type of guy. He's not a snob. Yeah. And the funny part, when I was driving the limousine, I actually had to drive it at one point. But some of the shots, when I first picked him up, and another congressman, played by Brian Markinson, who was a really good character actor, he was in RV with Robin Williams. He's a good little actor, and he was there. And there was these three young girls who were hookers, you know, portrayed as hookers. And so what they did was they had this old limousine, and they cut it in three pieces. So we're in Paramount Studios, and it's cut in three pieces. So they mount the camera on the front to get my shot. There's a cameraman in the middle getting the back seat and them, and there's all green screen all around us. So it looks like we're driving at night, but we never moved or never went anywhere. The only time we really did drive was when I took him to the airport. That was live. That was driven with an old limousine, because we had to show the car pulling up and all of that. But when it switched to the scene of him headed to the airport, that was all done in Paramount Studios with a green screen. A little bit of inside baseball.
Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, you have worked with so many, many top, I guess over hundreds of celebrities. Can you tell me some of Tom Hanks and some of the other ones that you remember?
Well, I worked with some of the best comedians, some of the best actors.
Right, also comedians. Right, and comedians, and you also it looks, I think you opened up for many musical acts also. Can you tell me about all those musical acts, the comics that you work with, the great people in acting and films? I mean, you've been all kinds.
I've worked with an amazing amount of people, and each one has their own little story. In fact, I wrote my autobiography, and basically it's kind of what I'm telling you right now. And there's a little story about most of the acts, not most, but maybe half of the acts, that had a little twist to the story of how I got to open for them and what happened while I was doing the shows and so forth. So it's sort of inside Hollywood kind of stuff that you don't really know about. For example, I'll give you an example. We were doing the casino in New Hampshire, and I was opening for Bobby Vinton, and this was probably late 80s. And we're getting ready to do the show. I'm going to open up, and then, Bobby's headlining the show. So the place is packed. It's 6,000 people. It's jam packed, and the air conditioning goes out. So there's no air conditioning. And it's 4th of July. So now the doors are open to let some air in. They can't fix the air conditioner, and fireworks are going off. So now we're hearing the fireworks. The doors are open. It's getting steamy hot. So I go out there and I do my thing, and I'm sweating profusely because it's so hot. And then I come backstage, and Bobby's like, "Whoa." I said, "It's really hot out there," you know. And so he went out there, and then there's a picture of him and I afterwards, after the show, and we're both wringing wet, you know, from the sweat. It was amazing. But let me tell you about Bobby Vinton and the kind of guy he is. Here's another story, and this is absolutely true. It's in my autobiography. I was headlining at the Comedy Stop in Atlantic City, and I had my girlfriend at the time with me. I was divorced from my first wife, and I was dating, so I had my girlfriend with me, and she came to see the shows. So the show was over, my show was over, so I said, why don't we go downtown? Let's go to downtown Vegas. We'll get some cheap breakfast, you know, because after a couple of shows, I always would like to get a little something to eat. She said, yeah, let's go down. So we go down, we drive down to the Golden Nugget, because they had like a $2.99 special, steak and eggs or something like that, which, and I'm going back to early 90s. This is early 90s. And who is sitting in the restaurant? Bobby Vinton. So I said to my girlfriend, I said, Bobby Vinton is over there. You know, I opened for him a few years back. I'm going to go say hi. So I go over and I said, Bobby, I don't know if you remember me. I said, we did that thing at the casino in New Hampshire. He said, oh my God, the night it was so hot and the fireworks and sweating. And I said, yeah, that's it. He said, oh God. He said, yeah, I remember that. That was awful. He said, hey, what are you doing here? I said, I'm headlining at the Tropicana. I'm doing the Comedy Stop at the Tropicana. He said, oh, I said, I wanted to invite you to my show. I said, well, I can't go because I'm working every night and it would coincide with your show. But I had my girlfriend with me, and believe it or not, she's a big fan of yours. He said, oh, no problem. He said, just call my room tomorrow. Here's my number. Call my room. He said, and we'll set everything up. So I go back. I tell my girlfriend. She's all excited. Next day, I call up, and some guy answers the phone. I said, yeah, hi, I was with Bobby last night, and he told me about, calling him, and he's going to get my girlfriend to the show. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. He said, the show is sold out. I said, oh, really? I said, but Bobby told me. He said, no, I'm sorry, it's sold out. I said, oh, okay. So I hung up, and I told my guy, I said, I'm so sorry. I said, but he seems so nice, and now the guy's telling me the show sold out. I'm really sorry. 5 minutes later, the phone rings, and it's Bobby Vinton. He said, Ed, I'm so sorry. My guy got it all confused. He got it all wrong. Look, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have a limousine come and pick up your girlfriend. She's going to sit at my VIP table with my daughter, and there'll be a bottle of champagne for her.
Wow.
That's Bobby Vinton.
Boy, that's a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing it. And that's amazing how it turned out.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And that's Bobby Vinton. Yes, absolutely.
Well, he had so many hits. Oh, yeah, Roses are Red. Blue Velvet. Blue on Blue. Oh, yeah.
Blue on Blue, all of that. So many of them. Yeah, great.
The Polish song, you name it, he did it. He's great.
Yeah. I opened for so many and so many different stories. I could go on, all night. I'll give you another example. Oh, I got them.
Okay, give me another story.
Johnny, I'll give you all you want.
Got a million of them.
I got tons of them. I did, I was opening for Ben Vereen. I don't know if you know Ben Vereen. Do you know Ben Vereen?
Yeah.
He was like a Sammy Davis Jr. He starred in, what was that Broadway thing that he did? He was, I can't think of the name of it offhand, but a very, very famous guy, Broadway dancer, singer, very talented guy. So I do my show, I finish up, and Ben comes out, gets introduced, and the place is packed, probably 1,500, 2,000 people. And he's about 10 or 15 minutes into his show, and some person came down the aisle and walked right in front of the stage to go to the other side of the other aisle. For whatever reason, Ben told the band, stop. And he said to you, stop. And the guy turned around and he said, look, He said, I can't believe what you just did. He said, anybody that's on this stage is an artist. And for you to come in front and walk in front of an artist during their performance is unfathomable. And I cannot believe that you didn't know better. And he read this guy the riot act.
Wow.
And the crowd was like, whoa. And then he calmly told the band, let's go, boys. And he picked the show right up and he went on. But that was something to see him stop like that in the middle of his show. You know, most people would let the guy go and figure, okay, let it go. I'm not going to deal with it. He did. He dealt with it, and man, he made that guy feel about the size of a pea. He made him feel so small. You know, I mean, it was so.
He said what he thought. Yeah, he said what he thought. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many people that I've worked with that have, you know, there's little stories involved. You know, like I said, they're in my autobiography. So if you want to get it, or if any of your viewers or listeners want to get it, it's called Welcome to the Stage, How a Forgotten Dream Became a Reality. And it's by Regine. And all these stories are in there, and plenty more. So it's been quite a run. We've just passed 35 years. I'm working on year 36. And hopefully, you know, we've got a few more left.
Well, hopefully. Oh yeah, so you work with all kinds of people. Yeah, you've had some all kinds of musical people and great comics, a little bit of everything. I'm sure it goes on and on. Yeah. Right.
I worked with Rodney Dangerfield many times. I did his club many times. And one time I was performing at, I was at the Comedy Stop, but this time it was at the Tropicana in Vegas. And I'm headlining there, and I finish my show, and who comes knocking on my dressing room door? Rodney Dangerfield. And he said, hey, kid, I came to see your show. You were great. Huh? I'll tell you. I said, hey, I remember you used to do my club. You know, now you're a big weird. You're doing all these clubs. You know, you're headlining in Vegas. And he's giving me this whole thing. Then he said to me, yeah, I wanted to go on stage. He said, but the owner here won't let me go on stage. You know, this used to be my room. It was. Rodney had that room as Rodney Dangerfield's comedy club. And then he moved down to El Rancho. But the guy that took the club over, he wouldn't let Rodney on because he was worried that Rodney was going to use foul language. And he had a no F rule in his club. No one could use it. No one could say it. And if you did, you'd get fired. So he said to Rodney, you're not going on. I'm not going to put you on. He said, can you believe it? I'll tell you, the guy wouldn't let me out here. And he had his beautiful wife with him. But he was a riot. And he was exactly off stage the way you see him on stage, exactly the same. Now I'll give you something that's not exactly the same. That's absolutely, totally opposite. I got to open at the Friars Club in Beverly Hills for Billy Crystal.
Really?
And I did my show. Billy did his show, and afterwards, I went over to Billy. I said, "Thank you, Billy." And he said, "You were very funny." And he was so calm, so meek, so mild. Nothing like you see him on Saturday Night Live or in the movies. Very, very calm and quiet and still, and just surprising. That's how he was. And off stage, he was completely different. It was none of "you look marvelous," none of that, none of the shenanigans or impressions. Just very simple and very quiet and very funny, and that was it.
How was it? Now you were fortunate to have been on Jay Leno on the Tonight Show. Tell me about that. What was
this happened. This happened after 9/11. And things kind of calmed down a little bit. So Jay started doing these sketches about, the terrorists and the Middle Eastern guys and all of that. So even though I'm Italian, I have an Italian look, I can pass for Middle Eastern. So I sent Scott Atwell, who was the talent coordinator for Jay at the Tonight Show. I sent him some material, and I said, hey, if you need me, I'm here. So a little time went by, and I got a call. And he said, hey, Ed, it's Scott Atwell. We got this little sketch tomorrow. Are you available tomorrow? And luckily, I was. I said, yeah, I am. He said, okay. He said, why don't you come in and give me a time? He said, we'll put you in makeup, and we'll run over the script, and Jay will be there. It'll be great. So I ended up doing about I would say maybe 13 or 14 sketches, but I would have done a lot more had I been around more. But sometimes I would get a call from Scott Atwell, and I'd be in Florida, or I'd be in Texas on a ship somewhere, and I couldn't make it, obviously, because they would plan the sketches only 2 or 3 days in advance, because the writers would keep writing stuff. So it was like very quick. You had to be there and get it done. And a lot of times I wasn't there, but I ended up doing, like I said, about 13 or 14 of them. And then I finally became the Indian Jay Leno, where I was hosting the Tonight Show in India. And I did that for 1.5 years. We did a whole bunch of those. And I was on the website. I was on the Tonight Show website and all of that. And it was great. It was great because Jay would say, why don't we take a minute and see how the Tonight Show is going on in India? So they would cut the screen, and it'd be me. Well, welcome to the Tonight Show. It is so wonderful to be here. So happy you're watching the show. You know, it's going to be great, isn't it? And I had the whole thing on, the turban and everything. And people loved it. It was great. So, Jay, and I got to have dinner with Jay, and the stuff hanging in my office here with Jay. Thanks, Ed, where he signed the thing and all of that. And he's really a great guy and very down to earth. So, we're kind of friends, you know. If I see him, we hang out a little bit. And sometimes I see him at the Comedy Store.
Oh, yeah, Jay, I never met Jay. Actually, I wanted to be on Jay Leno's, and I was promoted when I was on Jimmy Kimmel's Future Star Talent Showcase. He'd said these stars are so talented that they'll probably go this whole process and go right to Jay Leno. But I didn't have the right connection to get on Leno that time.
Yeah. Well, you should have made it, John. You should have made it. You deserve it. You should have made it.
But it was still fun having been on Kimmel's show. You know, he submitted. He saw me in Hollywood. He signed me, and when it was over, he says, "It's a pleasure meeting a star of the future." That was fun.
That's right.
He introduced me as doing karaoke. Oh yeah, on it, and it was a Christmas special. You know, I did Jingle Bell Rock. So,
oh, nice.
That was a lot of. Oh yeah, and I missed Steve Harvey too, but I got paid, but the ratings went down, so I never made TV. So that was the last time on television with Jimmy. That was back in 2003. So that was fun. That's on my site on JohnnyBlaze.com. You can see that. Anyway, you guys got some interesting things. And do some impressions, not depressions, of some celebrities that you've. Well,
I don't. Yeah, I'm not the kind of comic that does impressions. I don't really have a lot. I mean, I do the basic, easy ones, you know, if I have to. But I'm not like an impressionist, like Rodney. Rodney, he's easy to do. Stallone, that kind of stuff. Or, Schwarzenegger, do the job, I'm going now, I'm going to go now. Easy stuff like that. But, I would do some older stuff, but nobody knows who they are. Like John, well, you got to round them up, bucko. Nobody knows that. Or Jimmy Stewart. Wow,
John Wayne.
John Wayne, yeah, or Jimmy Stewart.
Wayne.
I wanted, or George Burton, but nobody knows those people anymore. And I'm not a real impressionist anyway, so.
Right. Because the way you do, you have a way of doing you seem to do a lot of things about people are idiots. You do
they
some
are.
Of your,
I'm one of them.
You do some comedy bits.
I'm one of them. I tell the audience I tell the audience right up front, I'm the biggest idiot there is, But, people do stuff all the time. Like a friend of mine asked me, I asked my friend, so, what time is it? And he said, right now? So, yeah, right now. When else would I ask you? What are you going to say? If someone asks me, what am I going to say? Oh, right now, I don't know. But, or do you have the, here's what something people will ask you. Do you have the correct time? I mean, are you going to give them a fake time? Do you have the correct? No, I have 4:30 in the morning. I'm sorry, I don't have the correct time. I have, stupid stuff like that, like information that was stupid. Like I have a windshield thing that covers keeps the sun out. The windshield thing you put in the windshield of your car, keep the sun out. The one I bought down in the corner says remove before driving. I mean, who's not going to remove that to drive? They think we're stupid, and we are. We're all idiots. So basically, it's true. We do stupid stuff.
So You write your own material, or use others, or you could do a combination
No,
of both?
I write my own stuff. Yeah, I write my own stuff. I just feel as though I get more out of it, and I get more satisfaction when I write something that I wrote and it works and it's funny. I think if you talk to other comics, they'll tell you that that's probably one of the biggest highs you get from doing comedy is when you write something new and you present it and it works and you're really happy. Because, you want to keep your material fresh and new and replace some of the stuff you've been using for a long time. And it's a very exciting time when you can write something and boom, it works. Yeah.
Well, probably on your own experiences. That sounds like that's where you mainly write your material from your own experiences, right?
Yeah, I write it from everyday stuff. Flying, shopping, driving, hanging out with people. I can sit on a park bench and get material, just watching people do stupid stuff. We do it. We do it all the time. It's who we are, right?
Have you ever had any times where, okay, you master your material and you're great at what you're doing, but ever had an embarrassing time where you tried your best to rehearse or to make it as funny as possible, and for some reason, maybe you forgot some lines or something didn't go quite right? Did you ever have anything like that happen at any of your shows?
I never blame the audience. I never blame the audience. I never say, I was really great. They were a bad crowd. There's no such thing as a bad crowd. Crowds are different, but there's no such thing as a bad crowd. They just weren't into it. That's not true. If you go to a comedy club, well, let me explain this to you, Johnny. And I was taught this when I first started. When you walk out on that stage, 85% of the audience is pulling for you to do well because it's embarrassing and it's uncomfortable if you're out there bombing. So 85% want you to do well. 10% you have to win over. They're going to say, well, let me give this guy a chance. Let's see. That's 10%. 5% are never going to like you no matter what you do. So you have to know that going in. But you got all the advantage because 85% are pulling for you. So it's never the audience. It could be you tried the material or you're trying it for the first time and it didn't work. Sometimes there's a word that needs to be changed. And that's the whole process of writing material. You write it, you go out, you try it. If it works, fine. You may tweak it a little. If it doesn't work, you try to tweak it more. If you still believe in it, if you still think the concept is funny, you try again the second time. And if you get nothing there, you try one more time. You say, okay, maybe if I just change it around, I'll start this way and end it that way. And you go out and you do it, and it doesn't work. It's just not funny. It's not the audience. It's what you wrote that you think is funny isn't funny.
So if you tried your best and it bombed, there's no laughs. How do you handle that? How do you deal with that?
Well, you don't go out there with all new material. You go out there with your strongest material and you try to pick a spot in your set where you can jump in and stick in a new bit. If it doesn't work, you come right back to your act, and the next joke is going to be killer. So you're not going to suffer hardly at all. It's just they didn't laugh at that one, and that's how you do it. You don't try one new joke after another, after another, after another, because then you could bomb if nothing that you've written is funny. So you try one, and if you can go out, let's say you work 150 shows a year, let's say. And you try one new joke in every show. That's 150 new jokes. If 20% of that works, 1 out of 5 of them work, you've got 30 new jokes. You've got another 10 or 15 minutes in your act. So that's how you do it. You just put one in. If it works, you make sure you write it down or you remember it. And then you go again. And if it doesn't work, you try it again. It doesn't work, and then it's just not funny. And that's the way you do it. That's how I do it. I mean, other comics probably do it their own way, but that's my way of doing it. I'm in the 1, 2, 3. That's how I believe. 1, 2. I give it 1, 2, 3. If it doesn't work the third time, it's out. They're right and I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. So it's not your fault. Yeah. That's a good comedy bit too. It's not my fault, or it's somebody else's fault. I mean, there's all kinds of things I'm sure you can do to get them rolling. You have a talent for making people roll in the aisles.
Well, if you get them rolling, then you can pretty much do anything with them. But what you really can do well and hardly never fail is if you have name recognition or if people come to see just you. You're going to score because they came to see you. They didn't come to a comedy show where John Smith is the headliner and Bill Lee is the middle guy and all of that. They came to see Johnny Blaze and they paid to see Johnny Blaze. So they're going to be with you no matter what you do. Now, if you give them 10, 15 minutes of junk that's not funny, you may lose them. But, you know, once you reach that level, it's pretty much clear sailing.
That's right. I came to see you, and I knew you, so I came to see you. If it wasn't for you, I doubt if I would have come to see the other comics. Not because that they aren't terrific comics, but that was the reason I came, was to see you.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, I was hosting the show, so I couldn't really do a lot with it, you know, because I got to keep the show moving. I can't get into too many bits because I got to bring the next person up and so forth and so on. So, but I'm glad you came. It was great to see you and great to have you there, and I appreciate you showing up.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it was well worth the time. That's for sure. And my friend came also. Yeah, that was great. Like I say, the only time I couldn't hold it any longer, so I had to go to the restroom. So,
yeah, I saw that.
That's why I only missed maybe a couple of minutes. But I caught the majority of it, though. You can only hold it so long, and then you got to go. You got to go.
You got to go. That's hey.
Right.
You gotta go.
How do you deal with hecklers? How do you deal with hecklers on your show? Have you ever had any hecklers? Anybody give you a rough time?
You might once in a while. I never got them on a ship. Very, very rarely. Very rarely. If it was a midnight show, maybe somebody might have got a little unruly. But for the dinner show or the family show, there were never any hecklers. The worst thing was a baby crying, because some people bring their babies, you know, on the ship, and that would be a heckler. You know, you make fun of it. Oh my God, kid doesn't like me, you know, that kind of stuff. But you build up an arsenal of put down lines that you have in the back of your head. It's like having ammunition. You know, it's there if you need it. It's like having a loaded pistol. It's there if you need it. You don't want to use it. You hope you don't have to use it. You hope you can do your show and everyone has a great time. But occasionally somebody will act stupid or unruly or be dumb, and then you have to take that out and you have to fire it at them. I'm not really saying shoot the guy. I'm saying, you know, you take your arsenal of put down lines that you've built up over the years and you hit him with one. And if he doesn't stop, you hit him again. And usually by the third or fourth time, because in my personal, the way I do it, my put down lines get stronger and stronger and stronger. First one's not so strong, second one's a little stronger, third one's a little stronger, fourth one's a little stronger, fifth one is really strong. And if I don't have them by the fifth one, which I don't think that's ever happened to me in my career, I'll just call security, but that's never happened. Usually the second or third one puts them away, you know, it puts them away, and you know, that's the way I do it. So you have that arsenal, you know, that you're ready to use whenever you need it.
Well, it's like the concept, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it. You know, if you have it and not need it, so you love what you're doing, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to have it than you know, but it's better not to use it, you know.
That's great, Ed. Right. So you've had some happy memories, it sounds like, all kinds of different. What do you prefer? Do you prefer comedy over acting, or about the same? Or it sounds like to me comedy is your thing that you really love.
Well, I think comedy. It's hard to say which one I like better. I like them both for different reasons. I like the fact that in comedy you get instant recognition. You know right away if you're doing well, and you know how well you're doing, and you know if you're not doing that well. I mean, you get an instant reaction. In acting, you don't. But in acting, the fun part is the magic that you're making, where you're doing something and people will see it on the screen and it's nowhere near what you're actually doing. Maybe you're standing on a box. Maybe your wardrobe is different. Maybe the other actor is not even there. Maybe you're talking to a blue screen where it should be another actor. And it's all magic. It's all the magic of movie making. And I love that part of it. And I love the fact that you get to play different characters and you can put yourself into different situations. Having said that, I love comedy as well, if not more. I don't know. It's close. But I love comedy because it's me. It's all up to me. I've got nobody to help me. There's nobody there to fall on. There's no other actor that can bail me out. It's me. I've got to be on my game, and I've got to get the laughs. And when I get the laughs, it's a rush that is hard to explain. And I've never taken a drug in my entire life, barely aspirin. But I know what it feels like to get that adrenaline rush when you're killing an audience. So that's the good part of that. And again, with the acting, it's the magic of it all.
Going back to the acting now, what are some of your what kind of acting do you prefer? Is it comedy, drama, science fiction, scary pictures?
I like comedy, because comedy is my thing. I like comedy, but I like to do serious stuff too. I just recently did a movie where I played a sort of a supernatural guy who was posing as a police sergeant, and he would wear these glasses, these aviator glasses. And when he arrested some kids, he took the glasses off and he had yellow eyes, which I had yellow contact lenses inserted in my eyes. So I looked like there's a demon. And so that was pretty wild to do that. I also did one where I got my throat slashed. I got one where I got beat up really bad. I've been shot several times in movies. I think I've been dead 4 or 5 times in movies. So again, it's the magic of it all. And it doesn't matter. I take whatever role that I feel that I can do something with, There's some roles that I feel like that's not really me. I don't know, like if they want a college professor, it's hard for me to pull off a college professor or, something like that. Some roles I can't go out for, but I have to go out for the ones that I think are fairly right for me. And my agent also, sends me out on stuff that he feels as though I've got a chance at, I mean, if they're looking for a 6'2" bodybuilder, I'm not the guy, you know what I mean? So.
Who would you say your favorite as far as actors and actresses? Any favorites of yours?
Well, when I came to Hollywood, I had a dream of working with Al Pacino and or Robert De Niro. I never got to work with De Niro, unfortunately, but I did get to work with Al, and I worked with Hanks, which was kind of a pretty good substitute for De Niro. So I would rate those guys. There's a lot of great actors, though, Johnny. I mean, there's so many great actors out there. But just those are the guys that I looked up to, and based on where I could do characters and I like that. As far as the women, I think you got to give it to Meryl Streep. I mean, she's fantastic. But there's a lot of good female actors out there. I got to do
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts, she was good. I got to work with her brother Eric, very nice guy, really nice guy. We did a series on Facebook, a Facebook series, that Facebook Top Prime or something. It didn't take off, but I did it with him, and he was really nice about it. We got along real well. There's a lot of, like I mentioned, Melissa Leo. She's a great actress. She won an Oscar, and not many people know her. But there's so many great actors out there that people don't know. I mean, if you look at Netflix or you look at Amazon Prime and you watch some of these series, there's some really, really good acting there. And you really don't know who these people are, but they're damn good. Yeah.
What do you think about Frank Capra as a director? Well, Steven Spielberg, of course, and Frank Capra, those are great directors.
They're great directors.
Spielberg
Yeah.
had some.
I think Tarantino is fantastic. I love Tarantino's
Yeah.
movies. I think they're great. Yeah, The Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, all of those that he did. Pulp Fiction. I mean, come on, that's a classic. Yeah, so I think he's great. John Travolta, yeah. And another great actor, Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel was in that movie. Now, Harvey Keitel's a great actor.
What do you think about the TV show Saved by the Bell? Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, I didn't watch Saved by the Bell. I know the show, but I didn't watch it.
You never were a fan of that. I got you.
Well, I just never got around to watching it. I never got around to it.
Okay. Well, a person that was in my documentary was the principal, Mr. Belding, Dennis Haskins, from Saved by the Bell was in my movie, in my documentary. Gong Gong, but not forgotten.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Check that out.
Yeah.
That former Gong Show winner, which I am.
Yeah, I will.
Strives to host.
Yeah, it isn't like I didn't like. It's not like I didn't like the program. I mean, I just never had time. I was, doing ships and all that stuff, and working every night doing comedy. So I never got to sit home and just sit in front of the TV. So I missed a lot of stuff.
You're one busy guy. You're very busy. What about on comics now? Who are some of your? I mean, there's people like Rodney Dangerfield, of course. There was Don Rickles. There's Red Skelton. There's a lot of top comics. Johnny Carson was great as a talk show host.
Yeah, Johnny was the best.
Don Rickles was great. The Master Insulter.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, Johnny Carson was great as a talk show host. There's a lot of great ones.
Yeah.
If you go back to the 50s, they were all really great. Sid Caesar, Red Skelton, those kind of guys, George Burns, and all of those people. Then if you go to the 60s,
Steve Allen.
and you got Steve Allen was there. Then you got Mort Saul. You got these people in the 60s. Then you got Carlin came around, and then you got Richard Pryor in the 70s, Eddie Murphy in the 80s. There's always been great comics coming along. So Jerry Seinfeld in the 90s.
Yeah, Seinfeld was great. Yes, I love his series. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
It's very funny. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. His show was great. I mean, it was fantastic. He's a billionaire.
Jerry Seinfeld, yeah.
He's a billionaire.
Over and over again. Those reruns are just hilarious. They're funny.
Yeah, they're still funny. Yeah. Jackie Gleason, if you watch The Honeymooners, which is on some of the channels, they only did 39 episodes. They called it The Great 39. That's all they did was 39. And it's still as funny today as it was 60 or 70 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Burns and Allen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of funny in the past.
Burns and Allen. Yeah. Yeah. Jack Benny. You got them all. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you a story. Here's an interesting story. Okay. Well, here's the interesting story. When I came to LA in 2000, I was told about the Friars Club, and that's how I got to open for Billy Crystal. They were looking for young blood, new blood. So they made a proposition to the young guys, actors and comedians, that if they would agree to put a show on, they could have their dues would be much reduced. They'd have compensation on some lunch and so forth. So I agreed to that, and I did some shows with some comedians, local comedians that I used, and it was my show at the Friars Club. But I would go for lunch, and one afternoon I was going, and I don't know if you know this guy. You probably don't know him. Joe Vitarelli. Joe Vitarelli was a character actor. He played, if you saw the movie Analyze This with Robert De Niro, he was Jelly. He was the guy that he was sort of De Niro's flunky. Joe Vitarelli, good actor, character actor. Anyway, so he was there. And then I noticed that Milton Berle was there. Sid Caesar was there. So I got talking to Milton Berle, and he said, well, you got new guys coming in. He said, hopefully we keep this thing going and so forth. I said, Mr. Berle, I said, hey, call me Milty. So he said, So I said, this is great. The Friars. I may have to sneeze, by the way. I've got a little hay fever that's going on. So if I stop to sneeze, it might happen.
Okay.
But so I said to Milton Berle, he says, so yeah, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a comedian and an actor, and I just moved here a couple of years ago and so forth. Oh, that's really nice. He says, yeah. He says, so somehow we got talking about hobbies, or I don't know how the subject or the conversation went that way, but I mentioned to him that I like to collect old watches. So he says, oh, you really? He said, well, I got a couple in my drawer. He says, they don't work anymore. He says, maybe, next time if I come, if I see you here. Sure enough, not long after, I'm sitting there having lunch. Milton Berle comes in. He says, hey, Ed, how you doing? I said, Milty, yeah. So he said, look what I got. He said, here's a watch I've had. He said, I can't get it to work. I don't know anything about it. He said, but if you can fix it, you can have it. So I took it to my watch repair guy. I didn't tell anybody anything. And he fixed it. And it works. And I have it in my collection. Milton Berle's watch.
From Milton Berle?
I can't prove it. Yeah. It's Milton Berle's watch. I can't prove it. I can't prove it. I can't prove it. I don't have any pictures with him. I can't prove it. He didn't sign anything. This is my watch. He did. But whether you believe me or not, I have Milton Berle's watch.
I believe it. I believe you wouldn't make it up. I don't think you'd make that up.
No, I wouldn't make that up. No. Second part of the story.
By the way, you have a nickname, the Machine. Now, how did that come about?
Well, let me finish. Let me finish the other. There's more to the story.
Oh, you didn't finish the story. Oh, let me hear the rest of the story.
We're back to the Friars Club. So Sid Caesar is there, and I go over and I said, Mr. Caesar, love your work. Great. Icon. Thank you. He was very frail at that time, and small and frail. And I shook his hand, and I left. As I left, I'm pulling up to a red light, and the car on the right of me is a 1984 Cadillac Eldorado. And who's behind the wheel? Sid Caesar. And I thought to myself, I said, how many people pulled up alongside this guy and had no idea that he was a comedy icon and one of the original comedians that made television what it is today?
And the Machine regime. How did you come up with the Machine?
Okay, so I did it. There was a comedy competition in Boston in the late 80s, and I only been doing comedy for a couple of years. And I entered the competition. And the next day, the Boston Globe wrote an article about the competition, and they said Ed Regine was a non-stop joke machine. So Machine rhymed with Regine, and all the comics around Boston started calling me the Machine, and that's how I got the nickname.
That's terrific. Yeah, you've had a lot of raving testimonials on your style. You're not just like anyone, Ed.
Well, I try.
Yeah, you try. You're very trying, but you try. And you do it.
I give it my best shot, Johnny.
That's all any of us can do. We give it our all.
We give it our best, and that's it. Like
Ricky Nelson said in the garden party, if you can't please everybody, please yourself.
That's right. You got that right.
Right. Check out some of the shows that I have at the past. Do you remember the Gong Show? The winner of the original Gong Show, doing Elvis. When someone said it couldn't be done.
I didn't know that.
And then I was on about 10 times. I had a couple of television specials. You can see them on JohnnyBlaze.com. The whole show, the show was dedicated to me, Johnny Blaze, right? Took over the whole show, singing Jailhouse Rock.
Wow.
Took the woman, shook the guy's hands. They put me up on the shoulders like the winning touchdown. That was really cool.
Oh, I got to check that.
Elvis was my favorite inspiration. I wish I could have met the king, but the concerts were sold out. I don't know if you ever met Elvis.
Couldn't get to him,
I never got a chance to meet him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he had his Hawaii special, 4 years before he died.
Mm-hmm.
My Hawaii special in the Gong Show, doing Blue Suede Shoes, well, it was like Elvis the Beatles. Well, one-time unforgettable type of show. Hugging, kissing, screaming, lips in the face, cheering, and applauding. You can see, again, these shows on JohnnyBlaze.com.
I got to check it out. I definitely will check it out.
Come on in. Anyway, what I want to say is, if you didn't do comedy, you didn't do acting, is there anything else that you might have done?
Yeah.
What do you think you might have done? Good.
I would have been in the horse racing business.
Oh, you would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask about you now. If you had to do it over again, is there anything different that you might have done?
No, I don't like to second guess myself because, I could have come out to California when I was 16 or 17 and I might have failed and I might have been discouraged and never come back and never pursued my dream. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is maybe if I did come out at that time, I would be a household name today. So that's possible too. But I did come later and maybe that helped me because I was seasoned more than the young kid who just comes out here on a whim. So that might have helped. But any which way it would have went, I don't know. So all I know is I'm here, I'm working, I'm loving what I do, and that's really it.
Well, you're very lucky to be able to have the talent and the opportunities. When talent and opportunity comes together, it works. And you've been able to do both acting and comedy, which are difficult, not easy to do it all. Do you have any kind of advice for anybody that wants to make it in entertainment and acting and comedy or anything else involved?
If you want to make it in comedy, first of all, you have to have a natural ability. You can't be taught. You can go to comedy school, you can read comedy books, you can do all of that. And it might help you handle a microphone or be able to put a joke together or remember a few jokes. But that's not it. If you don't have the natural talent to be funny, you will not be a successful comedian. That's number one. So first of all, you have to have the talent. And if you have the talent, you have to apply it. You have to get on stage as much as humanly possible, work as hard as you can, take any gig you can get your hands on, get in front of an audience, no matter where it is, and work out your act, work out your jokes, work out your style, work out your stage presence, work out your mic technique, all of that. But you must first have that innate comedy ability. You
can't fake entertainment, whether it be comedy or acting. You're telling me?
No.
I got
you.
You
can't. No, you can't.
I asked. What are your present projects and future projects do you have?
Well, I'm writing. I wrote my autobiography. I'm writing. I'm in the process of halfway through one book, and I've got two more that are. I've sort of screenplays for them, and they're not written out yet. So I've got those three projects. I've got the comedy club I'm working on, and I just keep working on the acting. My agent keeps sending me out, and I keep doing what I can do.
Any future projects, dream projects that you haven't done that you want to do?
Well, I don't really think so. No, I mean, I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I enjoy, and I'm doing what I think I'm good at. And I don't really have any projects that I want to complete or do. So no, I'm just enjoying what I do. I love what I do, and that's it. If it comes. I want to say one more thing. I want to say, Ed, as we wrap it up, I want to say, how can people, if they want to find out more about you, how can they go about reach out and find out more about you on your social media? Well, they can go to Facebook. They can go to Instagram. They can go to my website, edregine.com. They can go to Instagram, EdRegine Comic, or they can go to Facebook /EdRegine, or TikTok. I mean, I think I'm on TikTok. Yeah, I'm on TikTok. Anywhere on social media they can find me. I'm at the Comedy Club every Saturday night in Simi Valley, if anybody's in that area. And that's about it, And then
I want to see they can see you at JR's Comedy Club. JR's Comedy Club in Simi Valley. Just like
right.
I did.
Yeah,
give you a
exactly.
Yeah, you're hosting that blazing hot show. I want to say, Ed, you have had and continue to have a most exciting, fascinating and wonderful life in entertainment and in comedy. Keep on doing what
Well,
you're doing.
I wish that we, at some other time, because we've only scratched the surface of the stories that I have and what I've gone through in my career. So,
well, I'm sure you have many of them. But there's only so much time.
That's what I'm saying.
But your stories are exciting. They're very exciting, and I'm really glad and I'm happy that I had you as a guest, Ed. It's been an honor and privilege to have you.
Johnny. It was my pleasure to be on your show and my honor to be on your show, the great Johnny Blaze. I'm happy that you got in touch with me. I'm happy you came to the show, and I'm happy we're doing this. And it's just great to see you again. And I'm really honored to be a part of your show. So I want to thank you so much for having me.
It's been my pleasure. You're a trailblazer. You're a true. You really know what you're doing. You know your craft really well, whether it be comedy or acting or whatever. You have a great personality. You have a lot of charisma and a lot of chutzpah there, Ed. So keep on doing what you're doing. I just want to say, and as we wrap it up, Ed, for all my fans and friends, always keep a smile on your face and a song in your heart. Till next time, happy trails and blaze out.
If you would like to be a guest on a Zoom entertainment talk show, please send us an email at amazingoriginalJBshow@gmail.com. And remember, all of our guests will receive a complimentary DVD of their appearance on the show. All of our shows appear on YouTube and Facebook, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every single show receives at least 2,000, 3,000, sometimes 4,000 views per episode. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing, original Johnny Blaze has just left the building. Good night, and God bless.